And I have asked you guys to bring a memory or situation from this season which somehow describes the season so far. And it can be, as I told you, it could be from a match or from a training or anything, as long as it somehow represents the season so far. So, Chris, I can start with you. What memory have you brought to the table today?
I struggled to pick between two, so I'm going to give you two, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's perfect.
The first one, I think the Ghana trip, we go back to pre-season. It was an amazing trip which really helped set the tone for the season. It really helped us to bring a little bit of togetherness to the team and showed us some resiliency. We had some real good deep end journeys there with the staff from Right to Dream, and it was an amazing experience for the staff and for the players, so for the whole squad. And I think it really set us on a good path for the season. Although the first half of the season didn't go to plan, but that really gave us what we needed at the end of the season, I felt. And obviously the game against the Sakis ladies down there as well, as being the first of its kind. So that whole Ghana trip was amazing. And then the second memory I've got is, I think we'd neglect this, and it wouldn't be very good if we didn't mention it. Joe's goal against Sunday, I think it's one of the best goals I've seen. To be honest, it was just, I mean, you just don't see people doing that. It was incredible. So, and that just shows the quality we've got in the youth players here. But that goal was just, it was special.
Yeah, it was. Also, I think it actually trended on TikTok on our platform. So I'm
not surprised.
What about you, Amy? What have you brought?
Yeah, I think when I look back at the season, as Chris mentioned, the first half of this phase, as we call it, it didn't go as we planned. However, we went into an international break about halfway through, and it was quite a long international break, and we came out of that having to play Brøndby. And that game we came back and ended up winning 2-1. And it was our young players that scored those two goals for us. One from Amelia in the 83rd minute or 84th minute to get us the win against a team that correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe we've ever beaten Brøndby. So it was a huge win for us as a squad coming out of losses leading up to the international break. But then also young players stepping up again for us to be able to get a win in a time when we needed one. And it set up the second half of the season in a really good path. So I think just so many individual pieces there, but then the team coming together and those game changers, as we call them, coming on later in the match to be able to get us a win, which we rely on. We rely hugely on those game changers, subs to come in and do that.
And what does your memory, Amy, what does it say about the team and the season so far?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest pieces is that everyone plays a role. And it's not just the players that start the match. We harped on how important every single individual, whether it's the players or the staff that are away with us on trips or home, and the administration, everyone plays a role in the success of the group. And I think us being able to get that win late in a match with the subs kind of shows how the season has played out for us, that we've had different starting lineups throughout the season. We've had different players starting, different players coming off the bench, different players, not in the squad, but supporting the squad. And everyone played a huge part in the success and staying in the top six.
When we talked to Flemming and Johannes from the Superliga team, we asked them to place this season on a scale from 1 to 10. 1 is the lowest and 10 is the highest. So I will do the same with you, starting with you, Chris, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst and 10 is the best. Where would you place this half season so far?
Yeah, I find it difficult to put a number on. I will try, because that's a question. I think we said this to the players today, we had certain goals and certain key performance indicators that we wanted to hit this season, and we hit 3 out of the 4 within the style of play within the football. So there's 75% there that we did well, and I think we finished 1 place higher. We've finished points higher. We've finished 5 points off of third, whereas last year we were 9 points off of third. We've finished with double the amount of goals that we scored. We've conceded a lot more goals, so that's something that we need to look at. But I think overall it's been a very successful half season, even though at times it didn't feel like it was going as well. But I think if I was going to put the number on it, I would go into probably 7 out of 10 for what we wanted to achieve before the season, and what we were managed to achieve with the goals that we'd set. Obviously results could have always been better, especially in that first half of the season, whereas we felt performances were good enough to get results. We weren't quite getting the results, but for what we wanted and the goals we set, I think probably 7 out of 10 is quite fair.
And the same question to you, Amy.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably agree with on the number. I think obviously Chris talked about the technical, tactical side of the game, and I think when we look at the group as a whole and what we asked of them throughout this season, culture was a big piece of it as well, and it's continually evolving and continuing to work towards who we want to be as a group, and how we want to represent the club. So when we look at that, 7 out of 10, we're always growing. So we had some really big wins within the group, on and off the pitch, and we're continuing to try and, you know, when we look at the style of play, even on the pitch, we're getting them to try new things, do new things, and it's a process. So there's a lot of room to grow, but there's a lot of positives to the season. So I'd agree on 7 for sure.
Is it 7 closer to 8 or closer to 6?
Hi, come on, man.
Hey, we'll be positive, 7.5.
There you go.
Let's give it a 7.5.
Go closer to 8 then.
Closer to 8. Okay. What should the team have done better to get the 8 or 9 or 10, Chris?
Not concede so many goals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not leave it to the last game.
Yeah.
I think that would have
No,
been.
I think that, listen, I think we've created a lot of chances that we've not quite finished, and we know that as a group. We've conceded a lot of goals that we shouldn't really be conceding, and we know that as a group as well. So for everything that we've done very, very well, there's still pieces to work on for sure. And it's very exciting for us that we know what we need to be working on. We know solutions, we know what the problems are. So the spring's going to be very, very exciting, that we can close the gap on these things while still pushing the things that we did well. And I think if we do that, we'll be closer to that 8-9 out of 10 that you're asking for.
Amy, the same the same answer as Chris, or do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think even though we scored so many more goals than last season, if we look at it that way, I think we had a lot more opportunities we could have put away too. So it's demanding more of ourselves as individuals, and getting those older experienced players to demand more of the younger players so that they continue to grow. And then demanding of us as staff, and continuing to see us develop and us grow and us kind of, again, the process isn't just on the pitch. There's so much more than that within a group, and having success. So yeah, just little steps towards that higher number.